Ethan Cole had never been to the far edges of neutral space before. The stars out here were strange, and the silence was deep, almost heavy, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. He sat in the small observation window of the exploration vessel, staring at the distant nebulae that glowed in soft blues and purples. Everything felt quiet and safe, until the ship's emergency alarms cut through the calm like jagged lightning. The message came from a small shuttle nearby. It was badly damaged, drifting without power. Ethan and the crew didn't know who was inside. As the ship's engineer, he was first to respond. He suited up quickly, feeling a mix of excitement and fear. He had handled dangerous situations before, but something about this felt different. Maybe it was the stillness of space, or maybe it was the unknown inside that small shuttle. When he reached the shuttle, he floated inside carefully. The cabin was wrecked, panels hanging loose, sparks flying from exposed circuits. Then, he saw her. She was a girl, small, no older than 14 or 15 in human terms. Her skin was pale with a soft silver glow, and strange markings ran across her face and arms. Her eyes were wide, staring at him, filled with fear. She did not speak, only trembling, her hands covering her chest. Ethan knelt slowly, trying not to scare her further. "Hey," he said softly. "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." He moved his hands slowly and showed his palms. She flinched, but didn't move away. There was something about her that made Ethan's heart tighten. She looked fragile, but her eyes, they were fierce. Almost like she was judging him even while she feared him. He checked her injuries. Cuts on her arms and legs, bruises forming, and a small burn on her shoulder from the shuttle's malfunction. He pulled out the first aid kit and began cleaning the wounds gently. "I'm Ethan," he said. "Can you tell me your name?" She made a sound, soft and musical, not a word he could understand. He repeated, "Your name? Can you tell me?" She shook her head slightly, but then tried again to speak. A strange word came out, almost a whisper. "Lyra. That's a pretty name," Ethan said, smiling gently. "I'll call you Lyra, okay?" She nodded slowly, still unsure, still scared. Carrying her was tricky. The shuttle was unstable, and every movement sent sparks flying. Ethan carefully lifted her in his arms, feeling her small weight against his chest. She stiffened at first, then relaxed just a little. Her trust was fragile, but it was there. He carried her back to the exploration ship, floating through the airlock and into the familiar interior. The crew was waiting anxiously. Captain Moore frowned, looking at Lyra. "What is she?" he asked sharply. "Is she one of the known species? Should we notify command?" "She's hurt," Ethan said firmly. "We save her first. Figure out the rest later. Leaving her out there would be wrong." The captain studied him, then nodded. "Do it quickly. But be careful. We don't know what we are dealing with. Do it quickly." Ethan took her to the infirmary. He gently laid her on the medical bed. Lyra flinched as the lights shone on her, but Ethan talked softly the entire time. He cleaned her wounds, wrapped bandages, and applied a healing gel. Every now and then, she looked up at him. Her silver eyes, curious, but cautious. She did not speak. She only stared. Over the next few hours, Ethan stayed by her side. He tried to give her food and water, but she only sipped slowly, as if afraid it would harm her. He noticed that she watched everything, the lights, the instruments, even the humans around her. There was intelligence in her eyes, something beyond her years. She understood more than she let on. The crew tried to communicate with her, but she refused to respond to anyone else. Only Ethan could get her to relax. When he held her hand while bandaging a wound, she did not pull away. When he offered her a warm blanket, she wrapped it around herself carefully and kept close to him. Something about Ethan made her feel safe, even in this strange human environment. That night, the ship rocked slightly as they passed through a minor meteor field. Lyra woke, trembling. She cried softly, making a sound that was half sob, half whisper. Ethan held her close. "It's okay," he whispered. "You're safe now. Nothing can hurt you here." She clung to him, hiding her face against his chest. Her small hands were tight on his shirt, and for a moment, he realized how much trust she had placed in him. He tried to ask her again about who she was, but she shook her head. "I don't know," she said finally, her voice small but human enough for him to understand. I don't remember." Ethan's heart sank a little. "That's okay," he said gently. "We'll figure it out. You're not alone anymore." The next day, the ship's sensors picked up signals, strange ships approaching fast, unlike anything in known human space. Captain Moore ordered everyone on alert. "Unknown vessels, very advanced," he said. "Could be hostile. Prepare for contact." Ethan watched Lyra carefully. She seemed tense, her small body rigid. He had not seen her show fear like this before. She stayed close to him, holding his hand, eyes fixed on the approaching ships. There was a feeling that these were not ordinary visitors. Whatever was coming, it was connected to her. The ships arrived in formation, massive and dark, with glowing patterns that shimmered across their surfaces. They were beautiful but intimidating, alien and powerful. Communication signals came through, in a language none of the humans recognized. The captain ordered them to open a channel, but the voice that responded was cold and demanding. "Return what was taken," the voice said in broken universal code. "Return the heir of the Empire, or face destruction." Ethan froze. Lyra looked at him, eyes wide. She whispered something, a word he did not understand. The crew turned to look at her, but she only hid behind Ethan. Clutching his arm, the words, "heir of the Empire," caught Ethan's attention. Could this girl really be royalty? Could the crew have unknowingly rescued someone of unimaginable importance? The captain tried to negotiate, but the alien ships were insistent. They were not threatening the humans directly, but they were demanding Lyra. Ethan realized then that this was bigger than anything he had faced before. He would not give her up. Not after she had trusted him. Not after he had seen her alone and scared in that broken shuttle. He held her hand tightly. "Don't worry," he whispered. "I won't let them take you from me. Not without a fight." The aliens seemed to sense something in Lyra. She did not cower or cry now. Instead, she looked at the approaching fleet with calm determination. She stayed close to Ethan, but her posture changed. She was no longer just a frightened child. There was a presence, a quiet strength, in the way she stood. Ethan realized something important in that moment. Whoever this girl was, she was not ordinary. Her strength was not in weapons or technology, but in her presence, in her courage, and in the bond she had chosen to share with him. It was a rare and powerful thing, and he knew that this bond might be the only thing that could protect her. That night, the ship's crew tried to sleep, but none of them could shake the tension. Ethan stayed with Lyra, holding her hand as she rested, gently humming a soft tune to help her relax. For the first time, she smiled faintly, a small curve of her lips that seemed to light up her silver-marked face. Ethan thought about the future. He did not know who she really was, what danger awaited them, or how far the alien empire would go to reclaim her. But one thing was certain, he would protect her, no matter what. She had come into his life as a stranger, an unknown girl, but she had become something precious. And whatever lay ahead, he would not let her face it alone. As the ship drifted quietly through the stars, Ethan watched her sleep. The nebulae outside the observation window glowed softly, and for a moment, the universe felt calm again. But deep inside, he knew that calm would not last. The unknown awaited, and with it, a journey that would change everything. Ethan whispered softly, more to himself than to her. "We'll face it together, Lyra. Whatever comes, we'll face it together." And she, in her quiet way, seemed to understand. She shifted closer, resting her head against his shoulder. It was a simple gesture, but for Ethan, it meant everything. The stars continued to shine, distant and unknowing. But in that small room, a human and an alien girl had found something rare: trust, courage, and the start of a bond that might one day change the universe. The next morning, the human crew awoke to a tense atmosphere. The alien ships were still surrounding them, their massive forms casting shadows across the stars. No one spoke loudly. The crew moved quietly, all eyes on the communications console. Ethan stayed close to Lyra. She had slept most of the night, curled against his side, but now she sat quietly on the medical bed, her silver eyes scanning the sensors. Captain Moore called the crew to the bridge. "We have to find a way to communicate," he said. "They are not attacking yet, but they want someone. They are not leaving without her." Ethan felt a chill as he realized they meant Lyra. He clenched his fists. No matter what, he could not let them take her. She had trusted him, and he could not betray that trust. "We need to protect her," he said quietly to the captain. "I will not let anyone harm her, not while I am here." The captain studied him. "You realize this could start a war?" he said. "We have no idea what they are capable of." "I understand," Ethan replied. "But I also understand what it means to be alone and helpless. I won't let her face that." The crew worked fast to set up communications. The alien language was complex, filled with sounds that humans could barely replicate. The ship's computers struggled to translate it in real time. Then, a message came through. It was urgent, demanding, and cold. "Return the heir. She is not yours to protect. Failure will be punished." Ethan's heart pounded. Lyra flinched at the harsh tones, wrapping her arms around herself. Ethan knelt beside her. "They are just words," he said softly. "They cannot hurt you while I am here." She looked at him, her eyes wide, and whispered in her language, "They will take me." "No," Ethan said firmly. "Not if I can stop them." The crew debated options. Some suggested surrender. Others wanted to fight. Captain Moore turned to Ethan. "You seem to understand her better than anyone. What do you think?" Ethan hesitated. "I think she does not want to go with them. But she is not weak. We need to protect her. But we also need to understand what she wants. Let me try to communicate with her." He spent hours with Lyra, trying to understand her words, her gestures, and her small silences. Slowly, he began to notice patterns. When she pointed at herself, she used the word Lyra. When she pointed at the aliens on the screens, she said something like, "Mother," though her voice was trembling. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. Mother? Could the aliens be looking for her because she was royalty? The next message from the alien fleet was sharper, more insistent. "Heir of the Empire. Step forward or face annihilation." Ethan frowned. He did not understand the full meaning, but the tone made him uneasy. He held Lyra's hand. "Do you know who they are?" he asked. She shook her head slightly but clutched his hand tighter. The crew prepared for possible conflict. Shields were raised, weapons checked, and the engines ready for evasive maneuvers. Ethan stayed with Lyra, explaining quietly what was happening. "They are powerful," he said, "but we are smart, and we are careful. Nothing is going to happen to you while I am here." As the hours passed, the alien ships moved closer. Smaller craft began to detach and approach their ship. They did not attack, but scanned with intense light. The scanners picked up every detail of the humans and Lyra. The crew felt the weight of being observed, and Ethan could see Lyra's tension. She stayed close to him, pressing her small hand against his chest, as if drawing strength from him. Suddenly, a loud alarm rang. The alien craft had attempted a boarding maneuver, using magnetic grapplers to attach to the ship. The crew rushed to countermeasures, but Ethan did not move from Lyra's side. He held her tightly and whispered, "Stay calm. I will not let them take you." The first boarding drone appeared in the corridor, but it froze when it saw Ethan and Lyra. Something about the girl caused hesitation. She stepped forward slightly, holding out her hands, and the drone stopped moving completely. The crew stared in shock. Whatever she was, her presence alone was commanding. The alien fleet responded, their voices urgent and harsh through the comms. "Do not resist. You will not win against us." Ethan turned to Lyra. "What are you doing?" he asked. She looked at him, her silver eyes calm, and whispered something he could barely understand. Then, to his surprise, the drones disengaged, retreating back to their motherships. Captain Moore's jaw dropped. "What just happened?" he asked. "Why did they stop?" "I don't know," Ethan admitted, "but I think she has some kind of authority over them. Some connection they recognize." Lyra sat back down, exhausted, but still alert. Ethan gave her a small smile. "See? You are stronger than you think." She looked at him and gave a tiny nod, as if understanding. The next day, a communication came directly from the alien flagship. Their voice was no longer threatening but filled with curiosity. "She is the heir," the voice said. "We have searched for her for cycles. Who are you to protect her?" Ethan stood tall. "I am her friend," he said. "I found her injured and scared. She trusts me. I will not let anyone harm her." There was silence on the line. Then the voice spoke again. "If she is the heir, she is not yours to decide for. Step aside." Ethan's resolve hardened. "No, she is scared and alone. I will protect her. That is my choice, and hers." The alien seemed confused by this answer. Lyra, watching Ethan, began to speak softly in her language. Ethan did not understand all the words, but he could feel the meaning. She wanted him to stay with her. She did not want to face the fleet alone. For the next several days, the humans and Lyra prepared for what might come. The alien fleet did not attack but remained in orbit, observing, waiting. Ethan spent every moment with her, teaching her small human customs, trying to make her feel safe in this strange environment. He discovered she liked soft lights, quiet sounds, and stories. One evening, Lyra spoke more words than she had before. "Mother?" she whispered. Ethan realized she was trying to tell him about her family. The thought of a mother waiting for her made Ethan nervous. What kind of beings could this mother be? Powerful, dangerous, and demanding, he guessed. But Lyra did not speak of fear. She spoke of longing, of a home she did not remember clearly. Ethan promised her that he would help her find her family safely. "We'll figure it out together," he said. "No one will hurt you. Not while I am here." She nodded, resting her head against his shoulder. The alien fleet continued to test them. Small teams tried to communicate or probe the ship's systems, but every time Lyra was present, they hesitated. Ethan began to notice that their movements changed depending on her reactions. She was no longer just a scared child. She carried herself differently, commanding attention without speaking loudly or making threats. The crew started to respect her quietly. Even Captain Moore admitted, "She is more than we imagined. Whatever she is, she has power. Not weapons, not fleets, but something else. Something we need to understand before we act." Ethan spent nights thinking about it. He did not know if she fully understood her own strength, or if the alien fleet recognized it instinctively. But he knew one thing. She was not ordinary. And whatever lay ahead, she could not face it alone. Days turned into a week, and the tension did not lessen. The alien fleet maintained their position, scanning constantly. Ethan realized that this was a test, not a simple search. They were watching, learning, waiting to see what Lyra would do and how humans would respond. He began to teach her basic human language. Slowly, Lyra picked up words, repeating them carefully. "Safe, friend, stay, together." "That's right," he said softly, smiling. "You're doing great." She smiled faintly in return, her first full smile. It was small, but bright, and it filled Ethan with hope. Then one evening, as the ship drifted quietly, a small alien scout appeared in orbit. It sent a signal requesting direct communication with Lyra. She looked at Ethan. "I must speak?" she asked in broken words. Ethan shook his head. "Not yet. Not until we know what they want." But the alien message persisted. "The heir must come. She is the only one who can speak for herself. Delay is not acceptable." Ethan felt a surge of protectiveness. He would not let them take her without understanding what was happening. "We'll handle it carefully," he said. "But no one will force you to do anything you don't want." Lyra looked at him, her silver eyes bright. "I trust you," she whispered. That night, as she slept, Ethan realized the full weight of responsibility. She was not just a girl. She was important, powerful, and alone. And now, she had chosen him to stand with her. Whatever the alien fleet, whatever her family, whatever danger awaited, he would not let her face it alone. The stars outside were cold and distant, but inside the ship, a human and an alien girl had found something rare. Trust, courage, and a bond that might change everything. Ethan held her hand gently, whispering softly, "We will face them together, Lyra. I promise." And for the first time, she smiled fully, a glimmer of hope shining through her fear. The alien fleet loomed in the distance, silent and watchful. But Ethan knew they were not ready for what was coming. Not yet. And he would make sure that Lyra was ready too. The alien fleet waited silently in orbit. For days, they had observed the humans and the girl, showing restraint but making it clear that they wanted her returned. Ethan stayed by Lyra's side constantly, helping her adjust to life on the human ship and preparing her for whatever would come next. He did not know what the aliens would do, but he was determined that Lyra would not face them alone. One morning, a large transport vessel detached from the fleet and approached their ship. Its surface shimmered with alien patterns that seemed to move and shift like liquid metal. The crew watched in silence as the transport docked. From within, figures appeared tall, regal, and armored in the style of ancient kings. Their eyes were sharp, their expressions stern, and every movement carried the weight of command. The human stepped back as the lead figure, taller than the others and glowing with an inner light, entered the ship. Ethan instinctively moved in front of Lyra. She clutched his arm tightly, her silver eyes wide. "You have her," the leader said, his voice deep and calm, echoing in the corridor. "She is the heir. We have searched for her for cycles. Step aside, humans, and return her." Ethan looked the alien in the eye. "I will not let you take her by force," he said. "She is scared, and she trusts me. That matters more than your commands." The alien studied him closely, as if weighing the truth of his words. Lyra stepped slightly forward, holding on to Ethan's hand. Her voice, small but firm, rang out, "I stay." The other humans gasped. No one had expected her to speak so clearly, especially to beings so powerful. The alien leader tilted his head. "You choose a human?" he asked, as if this were impossible. Ethan felt a surge of protectiveness. "I will not let her be taken. She trusts me, and I will protect her, no matter what." The alien leader's expression changed slightly, from anger to curiosity. Then, a faint light appeared in the distance. The transport doors opened wider, and a figure stepped out, a woman, tall and regal, wearing the ornate robes of a queen. Her eyes were fixed on Lyra. Ethan instinctively tightened his grip on Lyra's hand. The girl looked at the woman, confusion and recognition mingling in her eyes. The queen approached slowly, her face pale, her steps careful as if she could not believe what she was seeing. "Lyra," the queen whispered, her voice trembling. She fell to her knees, her hands reaching out but not touching, as if she were afraid to break the moment. Tears ran freely down her face, streaking the gold and silver patterns of her robes. Lyra's small hands went to her mouth, shocked, and she looked at Ethan. Who is she?" she asked softly, her voice almost a whisper. Ethan's heart raced. I think "That's your mother," he said. He could barely believe it himself. He had suspected Lyra's royal identity, but seeing the queen kneel and weep confirmed it beyond doubt. The queen did not rise. She simply stayed on her knees, crying openly. Her voice broke as she spoke again, barely audible. "I thought you were lost. I thought I would never see you again." Lyra stepped forward slowly, hesitant. Ethan's hand stayed at her back, steadying her. She looked at the queen, eyes wide, and whispered, "Mother?" The queen's arms opened. Lyra rushed forward, and the queen held her tightly. The human crew and even the alien leader watched in stunned silence. The queen's tears soaked Lyra's hair, and for the first time, the girl seemed completely at peace. Ethan stood behind her, watching. He could feel a mix of relief and unease. The queen had arrived, but the situation was not fully resolved. The humans were outsiders in this alien world, and Ethan knew that the queen could demand anything from them now. The queen looked up at him then, her eyes still wet with tears, but filled with intensity. "And you," she said, pointing at Ethan. "Who are you? How did you come to protect her?" Ethan straightened his shoulders. "I am Ethan. I found her injured, alone, and scared. I promised I would not let anyone harm her. That is why I am here." The queen's expression softened slightly, but it was still unreadable. She studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. "You have courage," she said, "and loyalty. Something rare among your kind." Ethan felt a weight lift slightly, but he stayed alert. "I only did what was right," he said. "No one deserves to be abandoned. Not even a princess." The queen's tears continued, but her gaze never left Lyra. "You are strong, my daughter," she said, "stronger than I imagined. And you—" She looked at Ethan again. "You have earned trust I thought impossible for a human." Lyra's small hands went to Ethan's chest. "He stayed," she said softly. "He did not leave me." The queen nodded. She rose slowly, helping Lyra to stand beside her. Then she turned to the alien leader. "See?" she said. "She chose him. Not force, not fear, but trust." The leader seemed unsettled, unused to such decisions. He looked at the humans and then back at the queen. "It is unusual," he admitted. "Her choice. We did not expect this." The queen approached Ethan and extended her hand. "You have done more than any fleet, any army, could have done," she said. "You have protected her with courage and care. For that, you are honored." Ethan shook his head. "I did not do it for honor. I did it because it was right. She trusted me, and I could not let her down." The queen smiled faintly, a rare smile, and then addressed her court. "Prepare for a new alliance," she said. "This human has shown the strength and heart of his species. He will not only be a guardian to my daughter, but a bridge between our worlds." The humans in the room stared in awe. Ethan felt a mix of pride and disbelief. He had never imagined that a simple choice to help an injured girl could lead to such significance. Lyra looked up at the queen. "Mother, thank you," she said softly. Then she turned to Ethan. "And thank you." Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with the ship's systems or engines. "You don't have to thank me," he said. "I would do it again. I will always be here for you." The queen studied them, then turned to the alien leader. "Leave them be," she commanded. "She is under my protection, and he is chosen by her. No one may challenge this." The alien leader bowed slightly, showing respect for her authority, and signaled the fleet to stand down. The ships retreated slowly, leaving the human vessel and its precious passenger in peace. For the first time in days, the ship felt calm. The crew relaxed, some laughing softly, some shaking their heads in disbelief. Ethan stayed close to Lyra. holding her hand as she leaned against him. The bond between them was no longer simple trust. It was mutual respect, courage, and a quiet love that had grown naturally. The Queen turned to the humans. "You have shown us that humanity can be more than its technology. Strength comes not just from weapons, but from loyalty, courage, and compassion. Remember this." Ethan nodded, understanding the weight of her words. This was more than a rescue. This was a lesson, a first step toward unity between their worlds. Over the following days, preparations began for Lyra's formal return to her home world. Ethan was invited to accompany her as her protector, a role he accepted without hesitation. The Queen trusted him, but more importantly, Lyra trusted him. As they prepared for the journey, Ethan found himself walking with Lyra on the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly around them, bright and distant. "I was scared," Lyra admitted softly. "Before you found me, I thought no one would help me." "You're safe now," Ethan said gently. She looked up at him, her silver eyes bright. "I know," she said. "You stayed when no one else would." Ethan smiled. "I'll always stay. You are important. More than you know." The journey to her homeworld began with hope and promise. The human ship and the alien vessels traveled together, united not by fear, but by trust. Ethan had found courage he did not know he had, and Lyra had found someone who would stand by her without question. The Queen walked beside them, her presence commanding yet gentle. She spoke to Lyra softly, telling her of her heritage, the responsibilities she would have, and the power she could wield with compassion. Lyra listened carefully, glancing at Ethan often, seeking reassurance. He nodded quietly each time, letting her know she could face the future without fear. As they entered the alien capital's orbit, Ethan realized that everything had changed. A simple act of kindness helping an injured girl had grown into something far greater. He had earned trust and respect from a queen, a people, and most importantly, from someone who had once been alone in the vast emptiness of space. Lyra turned to him one last time before stepping onto her homeworld. "Thank you, Ethan," she said. He smiled and held her hand. "You don't have to thank me. You just stay strong. That's all I need." The Queen watched silently, tears still glimmering in her eyes. "You are a human unlike any I have known," she said. "May your courage always guide you." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of her words. As he watched Lyra walk forward into her future, he knew that their bond would remain. A quiet, but unbreakable force that could shape the stars themselves. The human vessel turned away from the planet, leaving the alien queen and her daughter in safety. Ethan looked out at the stars, a soft smile on his face. They had faced fear, danger, and the unknown. And they had prevailed, not through weapons or fleets, but through courage, loyalty, and the simple act of protecting someone in need. And somewhere in the vast universe, that bond between a human and an alien princess would echo. A reminder that even across the stars, the human heart could shine brighter than any fleet, any empire, any weapon.